All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to explore a really beautiful, powerful allegory. It's all about life, death, and the very limits of our own perception. This comes from a text called The Journey of Consciousness, and he uses a simple story to ask a really profound question. What if our entire understanding of reality is as limited as an unborn child's?
So, our story starts right here, in probably the most familiar yet mysterious place you can imagine, a womb. And with this one line, we meet our first character, Najma. See, she's a consciousness, just floating in this warm, dark world. But she senses that her world isn't the only world. She feels this hint of something more, a life beyond everything she's ever known.
And this feeling, well, it's the very heart of a debate between two souls. We have our two main characters, these unborn twins, Najma and her sister, Nazeeha. And it's their conversation that really drives this whole philosophical journey.
I mean, just try to imagine their universe for a second. It's this fluid, dark, warm space where every single heartbeat is like a cosmic event. And in this tiny reality, this fundamental conflict just sparks to life. You've got Najma, who believes in a world she can't possibly see. And then there's Nazeeha, the skeptic, who only trusts what her immediate senses can prove to her.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You can see they're two totally opposing worldviews. On one side, you have Najma. She represents faith, intuition. She just has this gut feeling that their senses are limited, and she feels a connection to something much bigger, a higher power she calls Allah. And then on the other side, there's Nazeeha. She's the empiricist. For her, reality is simple. If I can't see it, touch it, or prove it, then it's just not real. I mean, this is the classic debate between faith and evidence playing out before they're even born.
So yeah, this little debate, it quickly turns to the biggest questions of all, right? Where did we come from? They start talking about a mother and this higher power, which sets up this direct clash between just feeling something is true and needing cold, hard proof.
Now pay attention to Najma's logic here. This isn't just a blind leap of faith. She's actually using an analogy. She's thinking, okay, if we're being cared for right now by this presence we can't fully see, the mother, then maybe, just maybe, that same kind of care and protection will exist after we leave this place, orchestrated by that great power, Allah.
But Nazeeha, she shuts it down immediately. Her viewpoint is just so rigid. These ideas of the mother and Allah, they're just abstract concepts to her. Without direct sensory evidence, they're basically meaningless. Her entire world is defined by what she can perceive right here, right now, period.
And this is Najma's response. And it's really the core of her whole argument. She's saying that the most important, profound realities, things like love and mercy and care, they aren't things you see with your eyes. They're things you feel, things you perceive with your consciousness. For her, awareness itself is a kind of evidence.
So just as their debate is hitting its peak, their entire universe gets thrown into absolute chaos. We've arrived at the climax of the story, the moment of birth. But from Nazeeha's purely logical point of view, this isn't a transition. This is the end of everything.
Can you just imagine the sheer terror? Everything they have ever known, the warm fluid, the gentle darkness, that rhythmic heartbeat is all of a sudden collapsing. There's this powerful, uncontrollable force just pushing them out of their reality and straight towards some blinding, unknown light. And in this moment of total crisis, Nazeeha's whole worldview just shatters. The very things she demanded proof of, the mother, Allah, are now who she's crying out for in total desperation. To her, this isn't birth. This is the apocalypse. It's literally the end of the world.
But Najma, her reaction is the complete opposite. Her faith gives her a totally different way of seeing it. She sees this terrifying event not as an ending, but as a graduation. She calmly tells her sister that this is just the gateway to that bigger world she always sensed was out there.
And this is where the story's real meaning comes out. It's not really about birth at all, is it? It's using birth as this powerful metaphor for something else entirely, our own transition out of this life. It completely reframes how we think about death. Let's just walk through this analogy together. So, step 1, the womb. That's a complete but very limited reality. Then step 2, birth. From the inside, this looks and feels like a catastrophic end. But then you get to step 3 and you realize it was never an end at all. It was just a transition, a doorway into a vastly larger, more complex reality you couldn't have even imagined.
The end was actually just the beginning.
And that brings us to the allegory's big, challenging question. The source material is basically asking us to think about this. If the trauma of birth is simply a passage and not total annihilation, then couldn't the experience we call death be the exact same kind of transition into a new state of being?
Now, to explore this idea, the source doesn't just stick with the story. It also brings in some scientific and philosophical ideas that kind of hint at a reality way beyond what our senses can currently pick up on.
The text actually offers a few lines of reasoning to back this up. First, there's the principle of conservation of energy, the scientific law that says energy is never destroyed, it just transforms. So the source asks, why wouldn't that apply to the energy of our consciousness? Then you've got modern physics, which openly talks about extra dimensions that we can't perceive. And finally, just look at nature itself. Life is just a series of transformations, right? A seed becomes a plant, a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The text suggests that maybe death is just one more of these totally natural transformations.
And this brings us right back to our skeptic, Nazeeha. As she emerges into this new world, her rigid, evidence-based worldview just gives way to pure wonder. She experiences firsthand that there was a reality beyond her senses, a reality that Najma had felt the whole time. Her perspective is just forever changed. She goes from being a pure skeptic to someone open to a much greater mystery.
And that's where we're going to leave it. The story of Najma and Nazeeha, it's this powerful reminder that maybe our perception is just the womb of a much, much larger existence. It leaves us with a final, fascinating question to think about. Just like that vast world was waiting for the twins beyond their limited senses, what new reality might be waiting for us just beyond the edge of what we currently understand?